guys, this is Ankit, and in today's session, we'll be talking about built-in functions in Python. So, in total, there are 69 built-in functions given to us, and you can go through this table. All these built-in functions are given in this table. You can also get this table from the documentation. If you don't know how to refer a documentation, I'll recommend you highly to know how to refer any documentation, be it a Python documentation or any other languages like C++, JavaScript or any other languages. And also the modules and packages has its own documentation. So you must know how to refer a documentation. So I'll show you how to get this one. I'll just go to Google. Okay, so just go to Google, type in this built-in functions documentation Python and visit the first link. You will be directed towards it. So here you can see the table, the same exact table that I have in my Python notebook, and you can count there are total 69 built-in functions. You can like click on any of these. I'll be talking about the map function first, so just click on that and you can see the documentation, you can read about it, you can get more idea about it. So we won't be going through all of these 69 functions, but we'll be covering the most important functions which you will be needing. So I'll start off with the map function. So the map functions requires two arguments, like two or more arguments, two must be there. So one of that arguments would be a function and the others would be iterables. So the iterables could be anything which we could iterate over through. Like a list could be there, we can iterate through list, or a string you can use, like we can iterate through different characters of a string, etc. So we'll learn by more by taking some examples. So I'll give you an example. So first of all, we'll just make a function. I guess you know how to like write a functions and all. I think you have learned all of that. I'll first make a function for addition and I'll show you what I'm trying to do here. First I'll type out and then I'll show what we are trying to do here. So here, look. So first we have like made this function, additions function. Okay, we're passing an argument n and we are returning n plus n. So we are adding it by itself. So now here is the syntax of the map function. So what we can learn from this is that, okay, here it should be additions, not addition. Okay, so just type out the same name that you have given to function. So here, what we have in the syntax, we need a function for its first argument. So we have given the function name here. This is the function we have taken. So I've given the argument, first argument as the functions. The second argument should be a iterable. So I've given a list could be iterated over through, like 1 2 3 4 are the different elements of this list, so we can iterate through over it. Now what does map does, I'll show you the output and then we'll talk about how we get that. Okay, so we can just type over here print and we can type result. We are first I'll show you what we get from this and then I'll show you how to get the different. Okay, so we'll get a map object. This should yeah, here we are getting a map object, so we cannot understand anything about from this map object. So what we can do is convert it into a list and then we'll know what we are getting from it. Just convert it into a list and you can see 1 is given, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 is given, 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 is given, 3 plus 3 is 6, and 4 is given, 4 plus 4 is 8. So what does map do is it is iterating through the list, taking the first element, passing it through the function name given here, passing it to that function as the argument n, and then doing the required like whatever the statement is inside the function. So I'll go through another example to give you more clarity. I'll show you one with the string. So it's not necessary to only give a list. We can give anything which could be iterated over. I'll show you with list, sorry, string. So using a string, I'll show you. So you can do like uppercase it, uppercase character, and then we can return ch dot upper. What this method does is uppercase the capital D given argument. So what we will do is the same exact thing. We'll get the result in this result variable, will map, and then the first argument should be the function name. The function name here is uppercase, and then what we can do is give a string. Let's give hello. So we can, so what will happen is the map will do is iterate over through the single characters, that is h e l l o. It will give h first, then what will happen is it will return ch dot upper. What will do here, it is in small letters, it will make it in uppercase letters, and the result will be stored and the output will be stored in the result variable. So we can create a list of it. So what we can do is print the list of result. I think we can give it result 1 and result 1. Now see what happens here. So as we told you, so the first character goes through the uppercase function, and then it is printed over here. So same thing happens with it. So why are we using this map function? So what we are doing here with map function is like it like manual use of loop function, where loop we can like remove the necessary remove the use of like loops for loops. If we didn't use a map function here, so then we will have to use a for loop. So we can avoid using a for loop by like using the map function. So here we can use a single line, like this statement is a single line statement. I'll show you one with a lambda one also, so that will be also a single line. Here we are using it function, but we can also use lambda function. So first I'll show you another example so that I could make it more clearer to you. So I'll converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. So what we'll do, we can create a function Fahrenheit, and I'll be taking the argument called Celsius, and return I'll give, so I think you guys know the formula of converting Fahrenheit to Celsius, sorry, Celsius to Fahrenheit we are doing here. So Celsius to Fahrenheit, so what is the formula? So we get the Celsius, if it is 32 degrees Celsius, we multiply it to 9 by 5 and then add it to 32, and then what we can do is we can give here a list. Okay, so I'll type out some random value 0, 22, 5, 40, and also 100. That's it, and just run it. Now the map function will apply the map function here. So what will we do? We'll just give a we'll store it in a variable map. The function name is Fahrenheit, and we are iterating over this list temps for temperature, and to get the result we can just print the list of f temps. Okay, print the list of f temps. Yeah, so just run this one and you can see. Okay, why are we getting 57.6 only? Okay, so we have forgot this Celsius here. So we can put that, we can run this again, and we'll run that again, and we can see that the list of the Celsius has been converted to Fahrenheit. Now we can also look, okay, up to this point we have been using like of functions like before, and like this is the function here, in this is the function, and also in this is the function. So we are creating a function, and then we are applying the map function. So we can also do like we can use the lambda expressions. So for lambda expressions I'll also give you an example. So what we can do is, first I'll put the map. Now we know that map requires at least two arguments. First one should be the function. So here we'll be giving the lambda function. So the lambda function, lambda x I'm giving, and I'll give the same thing, that I'll be converting to Celsius, converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. I'll be doing the same thing here, but this time by lambda function. So x 9 by 5 multiplied by the x plus 32, and here I'll be giving the temps. So I'll be using the same temps. This is the temps. So I'll be using the same thing here, and we can like also we'll have to convert it into list, otherwise the output will be in map object. So you can do that, you can run that, and you can get the. So this is how we can use the lambda function in the map. And now until now we have been using a single iterable item. Like here we have used temps, here we have used hello, here we have used a list of 1 2 3 4. So these are all single list items, single iterable items, single string items. So what if we have multiple iterables? So what we can do is, we'll take an example of multiple, if there are multiple iterable items present. So we can take a is equal to, we are taking some list, so I can give their values as 1 2 3 4. B will be equal to, I can give 5 6 7 8, and I'll also take C. C is equal to 9 10 11 12, and let's take another one, 13. So A and B consist of 4 elements each, and C list contains how many elements? 5 elements, 9 10 11 12 13. So the length of the C list is different from A and B. So we'll see how this works. So firstly, we'll do for A and B. Let's see how we can do with 2 iterables, then we'll do with 3 iterables. So first we'll use A and B. So we can do that map and give the function. So I'll be using the lambda function. Here we can give x comma y, and I want to add these. So x plus y, and this is the function. Now we'll give the iterable. So what we can do, we can give A comma B. So the iterables will be separated by commas, and we can, to get the output in list format, we can do that. So we are converting into list, and here we can see the output. So see, what happens here is we are using the two iterables A and B to list. So list 1's first element is added to the list list B's first element. So 1 plus 5, and then the second elements are added, the third elements are added, fourth elements are added. Now, if the length of the iterables are different, what happens is, so if we are adding A plus C, what will happen? Like we want to add the elements of A and the elements of C. So once the smaller list elements have been exhausted, then the iteration will be stopped. Like the map function will stop as soon as the shortest iterable list, or the shortest iterable item is exhausted. So what happens is, the length of A here is 4, the length of C here is 5. So the map function will stop after 4 iterations. Are you getting my point? Like the minimum here is 4. Like the shortest list item is 4. C has 5, A has 4. So the map function will stop after iteration of 4 will happen. Like four elements will be iterated, and then the map function will stop. So we can see it in action. So we can do like that map function. We can try to add all these three A, B, C elements. So what we can do is map lambda x comma y comma z, and we can pass it like x plus y plus z comma a comma b comma c. These are the iterable items. This is the function, and these are the iterable items. So we can now convert it into list and see the result. Here you can see 1 plus 5, 6, 6 plus 9, 15, 2 plus 6, 8, 8 plus 10, 18, 7 plus 3, 10, 10 plus 11, 21, 4 plus 8, 12, 12 plus 12, 24. Now the smallest or the shortest iterable item is A and B. Both are shortest because both are contains 4 elements. So which is shorter than the 5 elements here in C. Therefore, the execution will stop at 4 iterations. Okay, so the next one is the filter function. So what happens in the filter function is that this function allows us to filter out the elements of an iterable, and like it returns when the function returns true. So the syntax for this filter function would be that the first thing it needs is a function, and then the second one is the iterable item that we could say as list. So I'll show you an example, and then I'll try to explain what happens really is. So what we can do is, we can first will need a function. So first let's make a function. Let's try to, in this function I'll try to check the even or odd, whether the given number is even or odd. So let's do for even, and can do that. So if the number is divisible, the remainder is 0, then return true. Okay, so we have our function ready. We can run that. Now let's see what filter function does. First we'll need a range of numbers. So why can't we just do like a list of a range of 20. So what this does is it will give 0 to 19 in this list. So we can also try to print that. See, range of 0 to 20. So now we can do is now the filter function will now try to understand what the filter function does is first see here the first argument is function. So we'll give the function name is even check, and the iterable item here is list. So we'll give that also. Now if we'll run like that only, the same as the map, it will like the output would be the filter object. In the map it was map object, in this it will be filter object. So we can try and see what appears. So here you can see that it is a filter object. So in order to see the output, we can convert it into list, and here we can see that 0 to 468 all the events are returned up to 19. Okay, so we can also try to we can also use the lambda function here. We can also do all type of stuff. So I'll show you an example of lambda function. So what we can do is, sorry, yeah, so what we can do is filter. Now the first argument is the function, so I'll give here lambda function, lambda x percentage 2, checking for the reminder as 0. This is our function. Now I'll provide the same list, and here we can do this, convert it into list and see the output. We get the same output obviously. Now this is the filter function. Now we can proceed further to the zip function. In the filter function, these are all the important things. You can also, if you want to dive deeper into this, we can go into the documentation. So but this zip function is an important thing, so we'll try to learn it. So for the zip function, so the zip function accepts iterable items and then merges them into a single tuples. So the resultant value which we get is the same as map and filter, which we get here. We get the zip object, and we can pass lists, tuples, sets, or dictionaries through the zip function. So I'll show you an example, and we'll try to get what it is through examples. So what we can do is give the iterable items. I'll taking two lists x 1 2 3. I'll give 3 elements. Let's also take y as 3 elements, 4 5 6. Now we have two iterable items, two lists. X and y are two lists. Now what we can do is we can zip the list together, zip the list together. So what is the meaning of zipping the list together? I'll show you through the output. Okay, so what we can do is zip x comma y. So the argument of zip function is two iterable items. Okay, now the same of if we run the output now, the output will be zip object. To see the output as list, we can convert it into list. Here you can see it gives us a list of tuples. So 1 comma 4, 2 comma 5, 3 comma 6. So these are all converted into a list of tuples. Now what happens, here the x and y are of same length. What happens if we give the different lengths? What if the x is of 3 length of that contains 3 elements and the y contains 5 elements or 6 elements or something like that, anything different. So let's see what happens. So x is equal to 1 2 3, I'm giving the same thing. Y is equal to 4 5 6 7 8, I could give 8. Now what happens if we try to zip these two iterable items, zip these two lists? We can convert it into list. Okay, now see what happens is the same as the map function. That what happens is that if in case of unequal lengths, the rest of the trailing elements will be ignored. Like this has 3 elements, x has 3 elements, y has 5 elements. So once it exhausts, once it completes the iteration of 3 elements, the shorter lists elements, then the rest of the elements of the longer list will be ignored. Are you getting my point? So what happens? So what happens here is 1 is zipped with 4, 2 is zipped with 5, 3 is zipped with 6. So and 7 and 8 of y is ignored. So therefore we can see here in this statement here that this is an important statement that we need to keep in mind, that zip should only be used with with equal length of inputs. If we are using with unequal lengths of inputs, then we must not care about trailing or unmatched values from the longer intervals. That means is that if we do not care about the other elements, then only we can use for different lengths of lists. Otherwise we'll lose some valuable input. Okay, so this is for different if the lists have different lengths. Now we can also do we can also convert this way, like here we are converting into lists, so that's not necessary. We can also see the output in dictionary. So we can do dictionary zip x comma y and see here the key pair values are here. Okay, now also one more thing, that we can also give nested lists in these. So what we can do is, like y is equal to, I could give like 4 5, I could, here I am giving a list as an element, I could give here 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Okay, and then we'll try to zip this. So I'll list of zip of x comma y. Let's see what's happened. So one is zipped with 4, 2 is with 5, and 3 is zipped with a list. So this is the nested list. Okay, so now we'll try to zip the, here we are trying to zip the lists. So these are x and y are lists. So we'll try now to zip the dictionary. So what happens when we try to zip the dictionaries? So we'll take some examples to see how it happens. So I'm taking D1 as first dictionary and I'm giving the key A, value as 1. I'm taking another B and value as 2. Let's take another one. I have forgotten a quote here. Yeah, D2 I'm taking as, we could do C. I could give here 3. Here we can take D, and we can take here 4. So these are two dictionaries. Now Let's try to zip these. I can do list of zip of d1 and d2, d1 comma d2. So this is what happens. So same thing happens is we are getting the list of tuples, and here the keys are getting, like the keys are getting zipped. If we want to mix the keys and values, we can do d1 dot values, d2 dot values for the values. So we can try also that. So for mix, so we can do that list. Okay, we can do list of zip of, we can do here d2 comma d1 dot values. Let's see what happens here. See, c is the key, d2 is for key, and d1 dot value is for values of d1. So c and the value of a is 1, and for d it is 2. So c 1, c is zipped with 1, d is zipped with 2. Now, so this is for dictionaries. Also, we can now we can also do one thing. We'll try to use the zip function in, finally we can try to use the zip function in for loop. So like what is the use of zip, we'll see in this example. So that is using the zip function in for loop. Now for a comma b in zip x comma y, sorry, current output clear. Yeah, so for a comma b in zip x comma y, we can do print a comma b. So what we're trying to do is get the elements of both x and y. So x and y, this x and y, I'll try first run this. Okay, so we're trying to get the elements of x and y. So we can run this and see. So x and y. So this is the function, this is the example of zip. So this is what the zip function does. Okay, so the next one is enumerate. So this one is very important, like very, very important, and you'll be like using it most of the times, like so just so the enumerate one function, what it does is like whenever you need to keep a count of any, like when you are iterating through any object, when you need to keep an account of, like if you are going through a list and you want to keep a count, then you'll be needing like enumerate, and it does the job like makes the job very easy. So I'll explain you with examples so we can understand better. So I'll take one example. Let's take a list of fruits. I'll give apple, orange, okay, orange, and we can do mango. Okay, now let us see what happens if we enumerate this list. So, sorry, fruits. As we know, it will give the output as an enumerate object. So to see the output clearly, we can convert it into list as always. Let us convert it into list and see what happens. You can see here, okay, so see the output here we are getting again the list of tuples, but here we can see that we have not given the 0 1 2, but it has been automatically keeping the count of the elements of the list of fruits. So 0 has been assigned to apple, 1 has been assigned to orange, and 2 has been assigned to mango. So this enumerate helps in keeping in count of the elements. So also we can like there is an optional argument. Let us show you that one also. Optional argument. So what we can do here is list the enumerate fruits, and the optional argument will be start, and here we can give where do we start, like where do we want to start the numbering or the count. So let us give 5. So let's see what happens. So see here, this counting starts from 5. So 5 has been assigned to apple, 6 has been assigned to orange, and 7 has been assigned to mango. So like this is the optional argument. We may or may not give it. It depends on us, but we usually don't give it because like the indexes starts from 0, and we personally prefer that. Now let us see the uses of enumerate. So we'll try to use it in a for loop. Okay. So let's use the enumerate for loop for I in enumerate. We'll take the fruits list again. Okay, sorry. We'll cancel that. Yeah. So we'll print the I here. Let us see what happens in I. Here you can see the elements are been printed as tuples. So the first is apple. So 0 comma apple is been treated is been combined together and been like printed as tuple. 1 comma orange same, and the same with 2 comma mango. Now what if we want to like what if we don't want the tuples and we want like separate elements, and like if we want to use we can't use much with the tuples, and we want like 0 1 2 separately, apples and orange mangoes separately. So what we can do is give here we can give I comma j, or anything you can name it. I'm giving here I and j. So I comma j. Let us now try to print j. Okay, print j here. What happens is, see, I has been, look here, I has been assigned 0, j has been assigned apple for first iteration, then I has been assigned 1, and j has been assigned orange for the second iteration, and I has been assigned 2, and j has been assigned mango for the third iteration. We can also see this like combine this I comma j so that we can see it better. Here you can see 0 apple, 1 orange, 2 mango. So this is how we can use this in like for loop. So this is very useful, and you will be like using it most of the times. And I can also give you one more example. Okay, also we can use the optional argument here. So we can do like, okay, we can copy here this, and we can pass the optional argument. We can give here 10. Let's see. So 10, 11, 12, apple, orange, and mango. So let us try and see another example so we can like boost up our understanding more. So I'll use again the for loop because that's what it is used mostly with. Count comma item in enumerate. I'll type out it and then I'll explain it. So for count comma item and enumerate fruits, if count is greater than or equal to 2, then break, else print the item. So see, what happens here is count, this count keeps the count, actually the 0 1 2, the count will start from 0 only, because we have not given here the optional attributes, optional argument, so it will start from 0. And the first iteration it will be 0, second iteration it will be 1, and the third iteration it will be 2. So that will, at that time it will become 2. So that item will not be printed, because it will pass this, or this statement will be true, this if condition will be true, so the for loop will be break, and it will come out of the for loop, so the last element will not be printed. So we can verify it by running the code. So here we can see, firstly in fruits we had apple, orange and mango. So for the first iteration the count was 0, so apple was printed. For the second iteration, count was 1, so orange was printed. For the third iteration, count is greater than or equal to 2, so this condition becomes true, so it breaks from the for loop. So this was the enumerate function. So now we can also look forward to all and any functions. So all and any functions, these winter functions in Python allow us to conveniently check for Boolean matching in an iterable. So the all and in any has arguments of, takes the arguments of iterables, and these like return Boolean values, okay, like true or false. So it will return true for all the if the iterables are true, or if all the elements are true for I'm talking about the all. Okay, so we'll talk about the all first, and then we'll later talk about the any. So for all function, so it will return true if all the elements in the iterable are true, or even if the iterable is empty, then also it will return true. So let us see with some examples, so we'll understand much better. Okay, so first I'll give all as 1. So we know that integer 1 is integer, and integer is not iterable, so this should give a error. So let's try it. Here you can see int object is not iterable, so we can write it as error. Okay, since integer is not iterable, so we cannot pass the like integer values to it, because the syntax requires it to pass iterable items, and integer is not iterable. So let us try to pass now an iterable item like string. String is iterable, so let us pass hello. We can see this gives us true, because string is iterable item. Also we can pass, what if we give it a empty string. So empty string, we know here, look here, it is given that if even if the iterable is empty, it will give the true. So here it should go true. Okay, so we can also see with the list, we can pass the empty list. You can see it gives true. Now if, what if we give some falsy values? Falsy values means if we give false or 0, that means falsy value. So if we give 0, it will be false. If we give false, it will still remain false. Also we can give true, then this is not a falsy value, so it will return true. Now if we give, what if we give true and false? Now since at least like all the, if all the items are like not falsy values, then it will be true, but here false is a falsy value, so therefore it will give false. So all the elements of the list or iterable item must not be false value, so then only it will give true. We can also check with 0. Okay, we can give 0 comma true. Here also it gives false because 0 is a false value. We can check with, okay, sorry, so we can check with 1 2 and true. So here no falsy values are there, so it should be true. Now let us use these all function to like use in some area. So where can we use it? We can use it to like this, like see this example. All x is equal to 1 for x in, if we give 1 comma 1 comma 1. So what does this statement mean? Like, is x is equal to 1 for x in 1 1 1. So all the values in this list is 1, so this should be true. Now similarly, if I give all x is equal to 1 for x in 1 2 3, so here all the values are not 1, so this should give false. Okay, so this is about this one. Now what we can do is try the any function. Let us see the difference between all and any. Now what happens in any is, here we can see the statement, like any iterable will return true if any of the elements in the iterables are true. If any of the elements are true, then this will give return true. But here the iterable should not be empty, otherwise it will return false. In the all, if even if the iterables were empty, it returned true. But here in this case, in any, if the iterable is empty, it will return false. So for any, let us give some empty, check out, let's check some examples. If we give an empty string, it should return false, because in any, we as we just read it here, it will return false if the iterable is empty. So any will like a empty string will return false. Similarly, any, and if I give falsy values, it will still remain false, like 0, or like we can also give 0 comma false comma empty string. All these are falsy values, so we get the false. Now if we try to give a single true value, even if any of the element is true, then it should give true. Here true is true and other are false values, so it should give true. While in all, we have given we have taken the same example in all also. Look, somewhere in there it should be there. Here, look, all, if we have given true and false together, it returns false, because all requires all the elements to be true. But in any, if any of the element is true, it will return true. So this is the difference between all and any. Okay, also we can give any, like one more example we can take, like hey comma false. So hey is a iterable item, like a string is iterable, so it gives true. So if the string is not empty, it will return true. We can also see one more example. Let us get a list of names. So we have names list. We can give the names like John or Joe. We can also give James. Okay, so now what we can do is, any, and x is equal to Joe. We are checking for Joe, for x in names. So we are checking if any of the names in this list names is Joe or not. If any of the names in the names list is Joe, then it will return true. So we have a name Joe, so this should return true. So here it returns true. Here we have seen returns true because at least one of the elements in the list is true. That is, at least one of the element is Joe, so it will return true. Now if I try to give some other input, like if I want to know if my name is present there, so x is equal to Ankit for x in names. So since my name is not in present in the names list, so it should return false. While we can also see the difference between all and any here. Let's see all. So we can use the same thing here, just copy it and change any to all. So we are checking if all the elements in the names list are Joe or not. So since all the elements are not Joe, one is John, one is Joe, one is James, so we get false. So this is the difference between all and any. Now we'll move forward to complex. So this is fairly simple, very simple. So what happens in this is it will return a complex number. Like if we pass a value, it will give the real and imaginary values. So we can like do that. So let us create 2 plus 3j. 2 plus 3j. I hope you all know about complex numbers, so I'll quickly summarize it. So complex, and we can give 2 comma 3. So what happens is it will give out the real and imaginary, yani ki complex number 2 plus 3j. So now we can also do with, let us take another example first. 10 comma 1, same thing happens. 10 plus 1j. We can also pass strings, so we can do with strings. 12 plus 2, 12 plus 2j. What happens is 12 plus 2j. Now we have to keep in mind that, look here, when converting from string, the string must not contain white space. White space means spaces between the plus or minus operators. Okay, so that will raise a value error. Okay, let us see what the error looks like. So we can see how error looks like. So complex, if we try to give white spaces, so 1 and space and plus and then space and 2j. So we have given some white spaces, so it will raise an error. So this was complex function. It was fairly simple. Also absolute, this is also very simple. So it will return the absolute value of a number. We can pass the integer, floating point number, and it will return the absolute value. So we'll start, we can quickly summarize it. Absolute value of 5 is 5. Absolute value of minus 5 is also 5. We can also give floating point numbers. Absolute value of minus 8.34 something is also 8.34. Okay, now what if, like, can we like give a list to the absolute function? So let us try that. You'll see an error. What happens if we try to give a list? So let us create a list first. 1 2 3 minus 4 minus 5 and minus 6. So this is my list. Let us try to give a list in the absolute function. We will see an error. So this gives us a type error, bad operand type. So we need to give a, like, this absolute does not require, or the argument does not, this argument does not require a iterable item, and list is a iterable item. So we, this, that is why this like creates an error. So what we can do to, like, absolute, like, if what if we want to, like, get the list purely positive numbers, like what if we want to create a list of 1 2 3 4 5 6, what if we want to, like, absolute the each of the element of this list. So what we can do is, we can, like, let us create a new list, positive list, we can name it, and we can do something like absolute of I for I in my list, and we can print this positive list. So we can see 1 2 3 4 5 6. So what we are doing is, we are, like, giving the, we are applying the for loop, and each element is given to the absolute, and that is, like, added into this list of positive list, and we are printing it. Okay, we can now quickly summarize evaluate function. This is also very simple. So what it requires is a string. So we need a string for this. So what happens if we, let us see some examples, and we'll quickly summarize this, and let us give a integer first and see the error. So this, you can see that argument must be a string, bytes or code object. So we need a string. So let us, we can write here comment error. Now error, since the argument must be string. Okay, now let us give a, what if we give evaluate of 1, this time it is a string, so we get 1. We can also do something like mathematical operations, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, and just evaluate that. Or we can do something like evaluate of 5 minus 98, sorry, minus 98 divide by 45, something like that. Anything you can do. So we got this. Also we can, like, x is equal to, like, x is equal to 10, and then we can evaluate given string x plus 22, we get 32. So that's it. This was evaluate function. Okay, lastly I'll touch on the print function. We have already, like, worked with print function, and, like, it is the most common function, we all know, we have all used it, but I'll, like, touch some of the arguments or the things which you might not know about this function. So starting from the basic, I'll show you what you already know. So this must be the first thing that you must have written. So I'll write print hello world here. So it will print out the hello world. We can do, like, print 5 multiplied by 5. It will return the 25 Now, we all know about this, so let us try to understand the optional arguments. So, what are the optional arguments? So, the first one is uh, argument argument sep. So that is separation. So what we can do is, see from the example I'll show you. So we can do like hello and then coders we can do. So I'll pass out the argument here. First of all, let us print this. This give us hello coders. Now what happens if I give the argument, sorry, what happens if we give the, okay, what happens if we give the argument separation? So let us give something like dash 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 dash. Now what happens is that it creates the separation. It acts as the separation string. Okay, we can take another example. Print again hello coders, and then we can like give something like cool. So you can get hello cool coders. Now let us look for argument end. So print hello coders. Now we can give end equal to exclamation mark, something like that. Anything you can give. And here we can see this is this exclamation mark is concatenated at the end. Okay, now we can look for the last one, last argument, that is file. We can give f is equal to open, can give something like sample dot, okay, this must be quotes, sample dot text and w. So this open is also a built-in function. We won't be talking about that, but here you can see the example. Here you can see the open function in use, and here w, this sample.txt is the text file, name of the text file that we are creating, and w is refers to that we are writing to it, that we want to write to that text file. So that is why we have given w. If you want to read, then we'll write r. Okay, so that is about that. Open. Now we're talking about print. So print, we want to write in the sample.txt text file. So we can write, like we can give hello beautiful people, exclamation mark, and we will select the file f. We have assigned it to f, so we are selecting it f. Okay, now we need to close this. Okay, close, run that. Now a file sample.txt will be created. We can check that. Okay, let us check. Here you can see sample.txt has been created seconds ago. Okay, now in that you can see hello beautiful people is written. So this is the print statement, and that is all for today's session. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll look forward to the next session. This is Ankit signing off.